First of all, how this course works. Of course, this is preparation for next, inshallah, exam 2023 for the European Board and Subspecialty Examination in Endocrinology and Diabetes. And before starting, I would welcome back to SC and European Board. First of all, this time is according to the survey posted in the WhatsApp group, and most of attendees choose this time. The first, why this is a paid course. Actually, any scientific, big scientific event need some sort of fund. This course contains at least 50 online interactive sessions plus another extra 50 recorded sessions with a total time more than 100 hours of the interactive discussion with another 150 hours, and actually every 1 hour needs from me at least 10 hours of preparing the material. So this mega sessions need a lot of time, and actually I have no time, but at least the fees can be reduced for anyone if he cannot pay, and actually the final fees is not determined yet. Even for the thyroid chapter 10 sessions, the final fees can be changed according to the survey, which I will upload today, inshallah, after this session. I will ask all of you to put the fair and suitable fees for the thyroid sessions. It contains 10 of interactive sessions, plus another 5 extra recorded sessions, plus extra PDF files that contains a lot of notes and the question banks and a lot of huge effort. So I would like from each one want to join us in this course to answer this survey freely about the fair and suitable fees. And actually, I start with thyroid chapter as a trial to continue the full Oxford book or not. According to the result of the survey and so on, maybe I cannot continue the course, but at least thyroid chapter is well prepared, so thyroid will be continued even if all of you choose to be this course is free. I ask everyone, don't worry about the fees, and if anyone want to join us freely, I will accept this, but the material I don't know if it is available for all or just for who join the course. And if anyone has some conflicting about the fees, please contact me. This is the WhatsApp group, and also from my WhatsApp phone, you can send a message for me about your condition, and I can reduce the fees for everyone, for anyone. And actually, I already prepared a very important presentation about how to study for SCE and European Board, and published in the previous year, and it is available in the YouTube channel. So I want from all of you to join the group and listen to this presentation, because it will contain the resources and how exam is and so on. But today I can just simplify this presentation about all what you need to pass the exam. Of course, the Oxford Handbook of Endocrinology and Diabetes, either third or fourth edition, is the main and only reference you want to pass the exam. Don't waste your time in the Williams or Greenspan or another textbook. This is the only reference you need to pass the exam. I think the presentation is recorded. Okay. Okay. So the Oxford Handbook of Endocrinology and Diabetes is very important. The only source you need to study well. And actually, all words from this book is essential for exam, each number, because in the exam they may ask about prevalence of some condition in, for example, recurrence of postpartum thyroiditis, number of risk of malignancy in some thyroid nodule pattern. Also may ask about the half-life of some drugs, and so on. So try to study Oxford Handbook of Endocrinology and Diabetes, either third or fourth edition. The difference between these two editions is little, and actually in my course I combine the third and fourth edition. The second most important is solving more and more questions. Actually, the final exam contains 200 questions. You need to answer them within 6 hours. Each paper contains 100 questions, and each paper need to be completed within the 3 hours. So each question need to answered within about 180 seconds. So try to train yourself to solve the questions more rapidly. And actually, the question banks which are available today, I suggest the best one. You must read it a lot of times. A tool book, best of 5 MCQs for the endocrinology and diabetes, and this is the second edition actually, which is no difference between the second and third edition in the first and second edition, just in a few comments and explanation and a few modification of some questions. So if you have the first edition, it is okay. If you have the second edition, it is so good. Another question bank you need to pass the exam and solve the question is a study BRN. Study BRN in the latest edition, it contains more than 700 questions. Previous edition, which is 2018, contains just 400 and about 50 questions. So this is double the number of the questions. And I already update most of the questions. So this is a very important second bank for the question. The third one, which is available also, it is on examination for a British Medical Journal on examination for SCE in endocrinology and diabetes, and this contains about 700 questions, which is very important. But study BRN is more similar to the exam. So if you choose which one, study BRN or on examination, I suggest study BRN. Of course, a tool book is mandatory for everyone. Study BRN is the next most important one. And another one is exam labs. Exam labs, this is just 200 questions available over the internet, and I already collect them. This source of MCQs is very important. It's just 200 questions. All answers are correct. And actually, in every year, they pick up about 30 questions from the exam lab exactly as it is. So if you review exam labs, you can answer at least 30 questions in the exam. Actually, in our previous exams, they pick up some questions in the same order. Even the options available in the exam, the same order in this bag. And also, this is also available and no update for the exam labs till now. So this is another very important source for the question. Another one, which is official website for MRCP UK SCE Endocrinology and Diabetes, or European Board in Endocrinology and Diabetes and Metabolism, contains about 30 questions or 20 questions. This is very important because also it is similar to the final year exam, and so you need to review them a lot of time because some questions in the exam the same as MRCP UK official website. Another question bank you can solve according to your time and availability, MRCP part 1 and part 2 endocrine questions. Also, you can solve some question like your American sources like medical knowledge self-assessment program, or endocrine society banks, like you can answer or review any endocrine questions you need, but at least this is the main sources. And another very important third topic to start to pass the exam easily is to solve the previous exam recall. Actually, we have 5 or 6 years from 2016 exam recall, and 17 and 18 and 19 and 20 and 20 inshallah, and 21 and inshallah 22 will solve them after the exam, after 1 month from the today. And I think my colleagues will post the recall, and we can collect them and answer it with you. And lastly, to read the summary of the important guidelines. And if you need to pick only one source of the guideline, please review the GBDS guidelines, which is the British guidelines for management of diabetes and complications, diabetes and pregnancy, for example, DKA, hyperosmolar, stroke, parenteral feeding. This is very important guidelines. And another very important guidelines is the NICE guidelines, which is available for some endocrinological disorders, which is very important. And we already have a previous session about these guidelines. It is about more than 5 hours of interactive discussion. I summarize all the important guidelines for the SCE, and I can post the link. But in this course, actually, I will review it because a lot of recent guidelines updated within the last 2 years. So I will discuss the most important guidelines in this course, inshallah. Another less important guidelines, of course, endocrine society guidelines. If you have no time, just read the NICE and GBDS guidelines. If you have more and more time, so you can review the endocrine society guidelines, which is very important, and the European Thyroid Association guidelines and Society of Endocrinology guidelines, and British Thyroid Association publish a very important guidelines for management of thyroid cancer in 2014. And this actually the only guidelines which is essential and very important. Just you can summarize it in 3 or 4 slides. And actually, after I finish the thyroid, I will summarize the relevant guidelines for the thyroid disorder, which is about 20 guidelines. And actually, I can show you these guidelines. This is the guidelines which I will discuss, inshallah, later on. ETA guidelines for hypothyroidism and for the management of thyroid cancer. This is British Thyroid Association, and the endogenous subclinical hyperthyroidism for ETA, Graves' orbitopathy, and its update in 22 guideline, 21. And also Graves' disease and central hypothyroidism, and Graves' hyperthyroidism in the pediatrics, which is published recently since a few weeks. This is the most important for anyone to pass the exam. So Oxford is the essential one, solving more question, previous exam recall, and read the summary of the guideline. And actually, this slide demonstrates the most important resources or sources you need, all the guidelines relevant. This is not updated slide, but actually it contains the most important sources for everyone. So try to collect them and try to study them easily. You have more than 1 year to prepare for preparing, so you have a lot of time to study them with us. If you want to pass the exam easily, please start from today. And everyone need to put his schedule. And this is, for example, And this is, for example, schedule for everyone, can take it and print it, how to review and which question you need to answer every day, and so on, to know your progress. And this is another one. I can post them, everyone can print it, for example, to know how questions he answered every day for the next year to pass. If you do this, you can pass the exam easily, because I want to say for everyone, the exam is not easily, question is not easily, the exam is very difficult actually. But if you start from nowadays, you can pass easily. This is, if you want to pass easily, please start from the today. And this actually, the composition of two papers in the final exam. Diabetes questions, actually diabetes and diabetes emergency and complication of diabetes represent 34% of the exam. Following them is the thyroid portion, which is represent 10%, and then the hypothalamus and adrenal and gonads, which and others, which represent about 10% of the exam, and parathyroid and calcium, which represent about 8% of the exam. So in this course, I will start chapter by chapter, and inshallah, I just finalize the thyroid chapter. And I will show how we will start actually immediately. I classify thyroid into 10 sessions, interactive sessions. The first one I will today, inshallah, and the second session, inshallah, in the next Friday, I will about thyrotoxicosis and subclinical hyperthyroidism, and thyrotoxicosis in pregnancy, and thyrotoxicosis in children, and so on. And the third and fourth presentation, and then the fifth presentation, I will talk about the amiodarone. And as the amiodarone thyroid disturbance is a short one, so I will complete this session by another very important topics about the thyroid from Oxford Handbook. I will talk about the thyroid in the pregnancy from chapter 5, hypothyroidism in children from the chapter 7, and thyroid disease in the elderly, which is presented in the chapter 11. And sixth session, I will discuss thyroid cancer, which is very important. And then I will give a separate session about revision for the thyroid. And actually, I will try to prepare the revision for the thyroid for the next exam 2022 within the 2 weeks, inshallah. I will prepare this session for the attendee who will appear in the 2022. And in the 8 sessions, I will discuss previous exam questions record. And if 2022 exam is available, I will include it in this session. And in the last 2 sessions, actually, I will just solving a lot of questions, exam lab, a toolbook, websites, and study BRA non-examination, and a lot of questions. And actually, in every session, I will answer at least 30 questions, best of 5. And after the session, I will give a conclusion of this session. And also after the session, I will send a link for everyone. It contains 30 another question to solve at home, to test yourself. And this is all the material. I will upload it after the session actually. So this is how this course works, inshallah.